Character names. What's in a name? Names have meaning. Not just the meaning a dictionary assigns them. Not just family history or cultural heritage. Names carry sound, association, weight, and signal. A reader's brain processes that in the instant of first encounter, below the threshold of conscious thought. This matters because a character name is not a label. It is the first characterization a reader encounters. Before physical description, before action, before dialogue, the name has already fired something in the reader's brain. The writer who understands this has a tool available from the first word of the first scene. This masterclass covers what the reader's mental ear actually does with a name, how names can do structural work across an entire story, how characters use each other's names as a dramatic instrument, and the most common ways naming goes wrong. Ask writers how they pick character names, and you get a wide range of answers. Discovery writers, the pantsers, often report that the character arrived already named. Not chosen, received. The name came as part of the character's whole presence, the way a memory arrives, complete and certain. Construction writers, the plotters, tend to approach naming deliberately, researching period, place, ethnicity, sound, and thematic resonance before assigning a name. These are not two different problems. They are two different roads to the same destination. The reader's mental ear responds to what the name is. Discovery writers may be doing the work below conscious awareness. Construction writers do it with deliberate research. The goal is identical. Find a name that fits the character so well it feels inevitable. When a reader encounters a character name for the first time, three things happen in rapid sequence. None of them are fully conscious. Sound registers first. The mental ear hears the name before the mind assigns meaning to it. Hard consonants, K, T, hard G, feel aggressive, decisive, angular. Soft consonants and long vowels, L, M, long O, feel gentle, melancholic, trustworthy. This is a documented phenomenon in linguistics. Tolkien understood it almost musically. His villains cluster around hard sounds, Mordred, Morgoth, Sauron. His gentle characters carry soft ones, Bilbo, Frodo, Sam. The sound does preliminary characterization before the story begins. Cultural encoding fires immediately. Every name arrives with luggage the reader did not pack. Class, region, ethnicity, era. Earl reads working-class American South. Sebastian reads British upper crust. Destiny places a character in a specific American demographic and generation. The reader decodes all of this before you have told them anything. Writers ignore this at their peril. Not because any single reader will catch the misfire consciously, but because the aggregate effect is a world that feels slightly wrong, and the reader may not know why. Association pulls from memory. Names carry literary, historical, and mythological weight that arrives uninvited. Lilith, the pre-Eve figure of Jewish mythology, the first rebel. Grace, theological virtue, unearned favor. Humbert makes readers of Nabokov flinch before they know why. Holden conjures a whole posture toward the world. The writer does not need to announce these associations. They operate whether acknowledged or not. Most craft discussions about character names stop at first impression. But a name can do work across the entire arc of a story, accumulating weight across hundreds of pages and releasing it at exactly the right moment. What follows is two techniques. Two novels, both from the same author. In the novel Tommy Blue, the cook who tends the antagonist's house is named Grace. Tommy, a man of profound cognitive difference, refuses to say her name. The explanation arrives simply. Mr. Walsh called her Grace. A holy word. Aunt Vera told Tommy never say holy words except in prayer. Tommy calls her cook throughout the novel. The name is doing double duty from the first mention. It carries its literal theological meaning, while simultaneously revealing Tommy's inner world, his system of rules, his reverence, his relationship to language. Grace herself names the asymmetry plainly when she says, "Tommy calls me cook, but it ain't my proper name." She accepts it because she understands him. The reader feels the texture of the whole relationship through that single naming pattern, without a word of explicit explanation. Across 275 pages, Tommy never says her name. Then, near the end, a puppy appears named Grace. Tommy touches the animal and says quietly, "Grace is a fine name for a loyal beast, a name with power." He can say it now. Something has changed in him. The novel ends with the protagonist speaking the holy word, and the name has been holding that moment in reserve the entire time. The novel Gutter Road uses a different technique entirely. The protagonist is called Connor throughout. In the military, men address each other by surname. It is natural, unremarkable, and the reader accepts it without question. Over 32 chapters, through war, through the 1950s motorcycle club years, through violence and grief and the long road back, the reader believes they know this man. They have been in close company with him. His first name never appears. Then, in the last sentence of the last chapter, on the day he is discharged from the army and steps into civilian life, it arrives. Quietly, without announcement, Walter Connor field-stripped his cigarette, disposed of it in a street-side trash bin, and tossed in the manila envelope before walking south, away from the army, away from the box with his silver star. Walter. The reader spent the entire novel with a man whose first name they did not know, and did not know they did not know. The intimacy was real, but it was the intimacy of the military world, where a man is his surname and his function. Walter is who he has to figure out how to be now, and in the same sentence, he throws away the silver star. The medal and the surname belong to the same man. Walter is stepping out from under both. The Grace technique and the Connor technique are both available to any writer who understands that a name's arrival, or its long withholding, is not housekeeping. It is story. There is a second axis that craft instruction often misses entirely: how characters process each other's names within the story world. When a character uses another character's name, they are doing something. They are not simply labeling. The motive, the effect, the register. This is one of the most subtle instruments in the writer's kit. Using a name to assert dominance or create false intimacy is one of the oldest social maneuvers in human interaction. A boss who calls employees by first name without invitation. A stranger who uses your name too quickly, too warmly. The salesman's technique. The con artist's opening move. In Tommy Blue, the journalist Sam uses Grace's name with full awareness of what she is doing. Reporting 101, she calls it. People like to hear their names spoken. The reader sees the calculation. The name itself has not changed. How it is being deployed reveals character. When a character moves from surname to first name, or from first name to a private nickname, a relationship has shifted. The reader feels it before the writer announces it. The reverse works equally well. Stepping back from first name to surname signals withdrawal, a door closing. Track these shifts in your manuscript. Each one is a relationship event the prose does not need to explain. The naming change explains itself. When a character who almost never uses names suddenly uses one, it hits like a signal flare. The deviation from established pattern is the event. You cannot create a meaningful deviation from a pattern you have not established. Understanding what names can do also means understanding what can go wrong. These are the most common interference patterns. 1. The unpronounceable name. A name the reader's eye cannot process becomes a placeholder. The reader assigns a mental stand-in, and the character never fully arrives. The test. Read the name aloud. If you hesitate, the reader will too, every time. 2. The blurring cast. Characters whose names are too similar in sound or first letter blur together in the reader's mind. A cast where half the names begin with the same letter is an act of carelessness. Variety in length, sound, and first letter is an act of courtesy. 3. The anachronistic name. A name that does not belong to its era breaks the period contract silently. Madison was almost unknown as a given name before 1984. A character named Madison in 1920 Chicago is a quiet error the reader feels without identifying. Historical accuracy should extend to naming conventions. 4. The on-the-nose name. Faith the saint, Victor the winner, Hope the optimist. These names collapse the character into their function and announce the author's hand. The test. If you can replace the name with a description of what the character represents, the name is doing the wrong work. 5. The private meaning name. A name chosen for reasons that exist only in the writer's own history. The writer's private association is invisible to the reader. What the reader receives is only the sound, the cultural encoding, and whatever associations the name carries in the wider world, which may be entirely different from what the writer intended. 6. The missing pattern. A writer who has not tracked how each character addresses others cannot create a meaningful deviation. If Tommy had used names freely throughout the novel, his refusal with Grace would register as nothing. The pattern is what makes the break an event. The companion power tool for this masterclass covers the full material in depth. It's a free download at fictionbrain.com. Everything on the site is free. No paywall, no subscription. Just craft, ready when you need it. The power tool includes the full 3-layer reader psychology, the sound, cultural encoding, and association, all with extended examples. The complete spectrum of naming strategies: threshold names, grounded regional names, functional names, and the ordinary name. All 6 naming interference patterns with extended analysis. A practical application checklist of 8 diagnostic questions. And 5 targeted exercises, including the sound strip, the cast audit, the naming map, and the withheld name.